When hope is gone, undo this lock and send me forth on a moonlit walk. Release restraint level 0. Hey kids, wanna see a dead body?
Hi guys, this is the Void of the Ravenclaw. Welcome back to another fanfiction story. If you like this type of content, smash the like button and subscribe for future videos and updates that I do post on my community tab frequently. If you want to get access to any of my early content, check out the Discord. Let's continue where we last left off in our story. When Apex re-entered the room, it was the midst of another battle. Some small fry. No one important. She didn't miss much. When the match finally ended, Scarlet's name was announced over the intercom for her to get ready for the next match. Scarlet showed no any signs of nervousness or any acknowledgement that she heard her name being called. After a few minutes has passed, she pushed off the wall where she was leaning against, with her hands in her pockets of her coat, and made her way towards the entrance to the ring. She didn't have to wait long for her opponent to make himself known. Scarlet's opponent is a lean-built man with white hair. Not because he's old, it's because of his quirk, because of genetics. She could see the cold mist emanated from his body. She easily recognized the signs of a quirk ice user. The white hair is a big giveaway. That's a typical sign of a ice quirk user. They usually have white hair. She didn't have to wait long for her opponent to create some sort of melee weapon made of pure ice. As he slammed the sword into the ground, as several ice spikes bust from the ground, flying towards Scarlet's direct position, making Scarlet to keep light on her feet, never staying in the same spot for more than a couple seconds. She never took her eyes off of her opponent. There's no doubt in her that her opponent is strong, but predictable. She doesn't need to have a super speed to dodge his ice-based attacks. His body movement is quite easy for her to figure out what he's going to do next. It doesn't matter how powerful his quirk is. If his body advertises what he's going to do next, it becomes completely pointless. Making him extremely predictable, easy to strategize around. And that's what she did. Scarlet dodge all of his ice attacks as she created and throw more ice-based, like small objects like knives and stuff like that. Scarlet is done playing around as she created and threw out a shadow spear. She threw the shadow spear when there was an opening. As the shadow spear and ice spike collide with each other, canceling each other out. When the ice spike shattered, the shadow spear dissipated into nothingness. Scarlet's opponent was smart enough to change tactics. Immediately grabbing his ice weapon out of the ground and got some space away from her. Scarlet simply created a shadow sword in her hand. The shadow of the arena increased in size as the entire arena floor was covered in complete solid shadow. Scarlet charged forward as Shadow Change burst from the shadow ground and flew towards the ice user. With the shadow chains wrapping around the man's waist, or wrist and ankles, binding him in place. As Scarlet was already upon him, with a single swung of her shadow weapon, or shadow sword, chopping off the man's head. She swung the shadow sword once to get the blood off that hit the ground. As the shadow ground begins to decrease, returning the shadows back to normal. Her shadow sword slowly begins to fade away as she calmly walked away, going back into the waiting room and leaning against the same spot of the wall she was on prior. Grim paid attention to that match immensely. She's dangerous. That only made him want to fight her even more. I'm starting to like that one. An interesting way to utilize shadow powers. Nowhere near my skill, of course, but that's not bad for a mortal, given her limitations. That's high praise coming from you. Once the body in the ring and a severed head was removed, Grim's name was called, as he's the next match. Well, it looks like it's my turn again, as he broke the connection with Zelik and got up and walked away, waving nonchalantly back at River. See you soon. This shouldn't take too long. Look forward to see what you can do, Spooky. Then you won't be disappointed. Izuku finally walked out of the waiting room and made his way towards the ring, where he sees the spots of blood from the last match with Scarlet. He paid it no mind. Izuku closed his eyes, waiting for his opponent. All he could hear is the sounds of the crowd and the hum of the electric field cage. As he heard footsteps, not heavy, light. That's when he knew his opponent was a woman, long before he opened his eyes. When Izuku opened his eyes, he was met with a blonde girl wearing some sort of Japanese schoolgirl uniform, with a bright smile, cat-like yellow eyes. Toga did not attack. She circled around him, curious, examining new source of prey or a new toy. Izuku couldn't tell from her facial expressions. Toga finally spoke in Japanese, hoping he could understand her. I'm quite curious. I want to see what's under that mask of yours. Remove it. Izuku spoke in perfect Japanese. Sorry, not gonna happen, Blondie. Good. You can speak Japanese? Then she realized she was denied. She frowned. Why not? That's not how this is supposed to happen. That's not how this works. As she placed both of her hands on her hips, with a displeased expression on her face. Doesn't matter. You think you could stop me? You're more than free to try. I always get what I want. The moment they start the match, Toga leaped forward with a knife in her hand. Izuku was surprised by her fast movement. She cut the distance drastically fast. He met her knife attack with his bone dagger. As when both weapons collided with each other, metal grinding against bone collide with each other more frequently, creating sparks. Toga was surprised. He was matching her movements, making her smile grow even wider, showing her sharp like canine teeth. The entire arena was starting to get rowdy, cheering, as I'd never seen anything like this. Normally, the fights I see in here are pretty fast, not showy, but this is a nice change of pace. The entire arena, or arena grounds, are covered in sparks, as the crowd could only see them in brief seconds before they moved too fast for the naked eye to be tracked. The speed of the attack only increased, providing more of a light show. Izuku increased his speed slightly. To his surprise, his opponent matched his speed, matching his unnatural speed and reflex with her own unnatural speed and reflex. Izuku immediately blocked several knife slashes that came in fast and rapid. He kicked Toga away in the stomach. Toga leaned back slightly the moment she got kicked, preventing her to get the full force of the powerful kick, as she was sent up in an air and perform a backflip, landing on her feet as she skid to a stop. Toga licked the blood from the slight wound she managed to get with her tongue. Izuku felt one of his exposed places on his mask that's not covered by the skull mask. There was a slight cut, but the cut instantly healed. But the simple fact that she was able to land a strike on him, and the simple fact that there is a cut on his face, doesn't diminish the pure skill she displayed. Your blood is fantastic. It's the most delicious blood I have ever tasted. I want more. As she charged forward, Izuku met her halfway. Izuku leaned backwards, dodging Toga's knife strike. Toga went into a leg sweep, forcing Izuku to jump up from her leg sweep, leaping over her legs. Then Toga did a handstand bicycle kick, landing several powerful kicks into his chest. Then she leaped from the ground onto her feet and got in real close. Proceed to stab forward with her knife. that she took out of her mouth when she did that bicycle kick. As she proceeded to kick Izuku, using a handstand kick, placing the wisdom knife in her mouth. Izuku palm strike Toga in the stomach, sending her skidding across the ground. The crowd around them begins to cheer louder. This is the first time the crowd has witnessed a fight that didn't only last a couple minutes. Interesting. Let's see you handle this. With a snap of his finger, bone-like dragon skulls floating above the ground begin to shoot rapid shots of pure energy out of their mouths. She charged forward, giving Izuku a vicious smile, well, basically a smirk, and began to use her speed and agility to dodge the beams of energy with great grace. It was pretty much, to everyone else, it looked like she was dancing around the energy beams. Her footwork was perfect. Each movement was for a purpose. Then she vanished and appeared on top of one of the skulls and began to use the skulls as stepping stones to get closer to Grimm. As she dove downward, swinging her knife towards Grimm, Izuku dodged the flying knives, only to see Toga use her natural speed to catch up. With a knife in her hand in mid-swing, while in mid-air, then one of his other floating blaster skulls moved in front of Toga. Toga jumped on top of the floating skull and jumped off, twisting her body in several flips, landing in front of Izuku, tossing Izuku on his back, as Toga swiftly positioned herself on his lap, placing her knife against his throat. Izuku had his bone dagger pointed in the middle of her chest, near her heart. Toga felt the pointy object pressing against her skin, made her smile more. Looks like we're in a bit of a stalemate. Without warning, she proceeds to kiss Izuku, then leap off of him, using her hands to wipe off the imaginary dust off her uniform. Izuku on his feet, confused but weary. You there, I know you can hear me. I give up. I got what I wanted. Still gonna have to see that face of yours. We'll just have to wait to our next encounter, Grimm darling. I look forward to seeing you in your next match. Toga casually skipped out of the arena, giggling and laughing to herself, like she found her new favorite toy. Clearly unsettling multiple people. She was sent here to test Grimm, to gauge him. Izuku returned to the waiting room with the rest of the competitors, sitting down right next to River. Well, you have a way with women. It seems so. What an odd blonde this Toga Himiko is. Seriously, odd is, I will not phrase it. She's more like batshit crazy. And what makes you think I'm not crazy? I'm just a different type of crazy. But that fight was very illuminating. Regardless on how batshit crazy that blonde girl is. That was quite a display of skill. I'll give that crazy bitch that. Toga did not return to the waiting area or the crowd in the audience. She stayed inside the underground church in the bar. She has to meet up with her partner. As a young man in a trench coat greeted Toga. So how did it go? You missed quite a battle, Dabi. So what do you have for me? My grim darling is quite strong. Darling, is it? Remember, we need him alive. For now. I would never... I might stab him a few times. Maybe drink a little of his blood. But kill him? No. Far from it. He interests me. He's strong. He has some sort of regeneration. On top of bone manipulation. And a bit of energy manipulation. What I've seen so far, those bones he can create, he seems to control them through some sort of telekinesis, most likely. The way they float, the way they answer his commands, without him even mentioning it out loud. How is that possible? There's no way he has multiple quirks. I don't think so. I think his quirk has several aspects to it. After all, there's only one person that's able to take and give quirks away like candy. So, when is the operation beginning? When do we strike? In the finals of the tournament. About time they figure out what's going on, it'll be already too late. Remember why we're here. We're here to kill important figures in the criminal underworld in America. And to calculate if this Grim could be an asset or a liability that needs to be removed. Fine by me. Let's get a good seat. Dabi did not argue with her. He followed her with his hands in his trench coat pockets. Finding a good seat to watch the rest of the tournament. Not too close to be observed by others, but far enough so they won't be noticed. But still have a good view of the ring. Izuku continued to watch each fight. They weren't interesting, but he kept a close attention anyways. He did not expect someone like Toga. He thought he spotted all the heavy hitters in the tournament. Apparently he was wrong. The fact that she can mask herself even from him was impressive and dangerous. These matches are pretty boring, wouldn't you say? Spooky? It might be, as you say, boring. But the competitors are drastically decreasing. Like I said, the matches themselves might be what you call boring, but they're also a good opportunity to witness their quirks in action. River might be cocky, a joker, a killer, but even he could sense Grim's calculated eyes, analyzing every match he's seen so far. He knows a strategist, a quirk analyst, when he sees it. The realization was even clear to him. Grim is far more dangerous than anyone realized. With his mining abilities from his quirk, makes him incredibly dangerous, outright deadly. It's a terrifying thought, but Rivers never one to ponder on what ifs, so he discards the idea. It did not terrify him or worry him. It just got him more pumped up for their fight. Eventually, they will face each other. He knows it. Grim is too good to lose to anyone, and he'll be damned to lose until he fights Grim. Izuku calmly continued watching the matches, completing observations to his, oblivious to his companion thoughts. After the match was completed, they announced a small break before the semifinals will commence. It didn't take long for the announcement of the semifinals. Let's try that again. It didn't take long from the announcement of the semifinals were announced for more competitors from the second bracket, from the low below them, arrive in the waiting room. He could instantly tell one of the new companions. He could instantly tell the new competitors were strong in their own right, but he immediately recognized one of them. One of the competitors, the one wearing the blank mask. The woman he came across when he tried to kill Leon for the first time. Out of all the competitors, she's most likely the dangerous. He's going to be cautious moving forward. The first person Inko immediately focused on was the boy in the skull mask. She knows it's Grim. His mask might have changed, and the gear is different, but she can immediately recognize who he is. She's looking forward to see what the boy has learned from their last encounter. Inko did what she does best: observe. Inko could sense several of the other competitors are not weak, just by their posture and the look in their eyes. But her main focus was Grim. Meanwhile, the Empress had just arrived at the VIP room for the more important guests to watch the tournament. Empress stopped when she saw she wasn't alone. "I heard you were attending this year's little tournament. What are you doing here, Blood Queen?" "Relax. I'm just watching my precious little River. He likes these little tournaments." "You can't still be mad over that little thing. You had your little dog try to kill me. That was just business, nothing personal. But things are different. We have a common enemy, do we not?" "You're not wrong," as Empress sat down next to the Blood Queen. "So, this Grim, is he one of yours? He's quite talented." "He's not one of my men. He's a third party. We have a business arrangement." "Interesting. Very interesting. How has he been fighting?" "Quite well, actually. Not surprising from the villain who defeated and embarrassed Captain Celebrity. I'm looking forward to the future matches with him and I'm extremely looking forward to the match between my dear River and him. It's going to be quite a show." If I remember right, that's why my attack didn't work. Because my dear River had to withdraw. Let's just say Grim is effective. Effective. He surely is. I have no doubt about that. Back into the waiting area, where all the competitors are, Izuku was preparing himself, closing his eyes, meditating, while he's still sitting on the table, at the far end of the room. The moment he heard his villain name being called, he opened his eyes. When he entered, he saw his opponent already waiting and ready, a man with some sort of fire quirk. His opponent is hitting all of the typical signs you would find in a fire quirk user. So you must be my opponent. You don't look like much. So you're the bone guy. I suppose I am. Grim. And you are? You could just call me Inferno. Let's get this shit started. I have a tournament to win. As Inferno got into a fighting stance. Confident, are we? As Grim got into his own fighting stance. You don't need confidence when you have skill. As he rushed forward, moving faster than anything that Izuku has seen so far. Inferno moved so fast, he made a sonic boom and appeared right in front of Izuku with his hand extended in a punch that caught Izuku by surprise. But he caught the strike nonetheless. The moment the fist collided with his open palm, a large creation of pure wind pressure was created, enveloping the ring. Izuku noticed the steam and smoke coming from his hand when he caught his fist. And he wasn't oblivious. When he caught his fist, it pushed him back. It actually pushed him back. He kicked his opponent away, only to watch for him to block the attack by crossing his arms and leaping backwards a few steps without breaking his guard. Izuku has his entire focus on his opponent. Izuku was impressed by his strength and speed, all superhuman levels. He's not questioning how he acquired such strength and speed with only having some sort of fire quirk. Only thing that makes logical sense to him, that his body has been enchanted or modified in some way, not much like his own, but taking a different path compared to his opponent. Izuku had a wide grin on his face. Everyone in the arena could see it. It's not his normal blank face, but a pure enjoyment with a deadly edge. And he's not being shy about it. Finally, someone who's actual threat. I'm going to enjoy this. When he moved fast, taking his opponent off guard, as he completely disappeared and reappeared in mid-swing. Inferno barely had enough time to block the strike. The moment he blocked it, it sent him flying backwards, skidding across the ground. He managed to stop his momentum by using the heel of his foot to prevent himself from crashing into the electrified metal cage. Before he could counter-attack, several small floating dragon-like skulls appeared, flying all around him, unleashing beams of energy. Before the beams could touch him, he released a large burst of fire, on all sides in a wide burst, canceling out the laser attack, or the energy beam attack. Inferno threw out multiple punches towards the floating skulls as a burst of fire came out of his fist, destroying the blaster skulls in the process. Izuku watched his small blaster skulls dissipate into bone particles with a grin on his face. Fascinating. He uses a rapid burst of fire to meet my beams of energy, to cancel them out, and also uses that method for long-range fire fist attacks. Very condensed focus of fire. A very advanced technique indeed for a fire user. You have indeed piqued my interest even further. Inferno. Inferno wasn't oblivious of the danger he's in. An opponent that can formulate how he could use his abilities in mid-battle is a very and deadly talent for an opponent for him to be facing. He's only seen that's in the way he moves, the way he analyzes, in only 2 people he's ever met. And they were always the most dangerous opponents to fight against. So he chose to move cautiously. He's not dealing with just a powerful opponent. He's dealing with a smart and most likely devious opponent. And those floating skulls that shoot beams of energy, he's going to have to look out for those. He can't notice any signs of weakness in his opponent. His breathing is normal. So he figures those floating skulls that he created did not spend a whole lot of energy out of them. And that's where we're going to stop it for now. I'll catch you guys in the next part.